Hey, welcome everybody. Welcome to the show. Today we've got episode 455 of Counting on Future Conflicts. We're talking kind of a domestic rumble of topics, and none of them are. Everybody's kind of scuffling, and there's definitely some shoes dropping. We've had some interesting stuff come out. We had Christopher Wray from the FBI just resigned, and then 24 hours later, the report comes out from uh, what is it, the Inspector General's office at the FBI, that didn't look great to him because he said there were no CIs in the crowd, and then all of a sudden it turns out there were 26 of them, and that's just what they've so, Joe, you were saying before the show, if they're admitting to that, there's got to be a lot more.
Yeah, there's probably way more, and that's kind of how they roll.
Yeah. And then we'll also be talking about this, all these crazy drones sightings in Jersey. Some people are saying it's an alien invasion. Other people are saying it's just a massive invasion of Iranian drones. Some people are saying it's absolutely nothing. There's nothing to see here.
Amazon publicity stunt.
That's exactly right. So that means the truth is probably somewhere in the middle. There've been some very interesting kind of specifically worded statements from the Pentagon about what exactly is or is not happening. So we'll talk about that as well. This is not the only place drones have been. So we'll be talking about, the kind of the general drone threat in general. But before we get into any of that, Joe, how you doing today, brother?
You know what? I'm doing good. We have a group of Boy Scouts coming here today for the weekend, so that's going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to give them some winter skills, and got a couple projects for them too. So pretty neat thing. Been involved in some cool stuff. Oh, you know what? I'm going to get a link when we do my segment in between. I want to drop a photo of Al and Linda from the Chamber of Commerce event we were at the other day. So, and
I got
we'll
it.
talk a little.
Last night.
You got that?
Oh. Yep.
All right. It was we had a good event where they were recognized along with several others in the community for all the good that they do, and we really had a great time at it. There they are, the folks who run this camp and do so much for veterans in not just Northwest Montana, but all across the Pacific Northwest. Good folks. We had a great time. Al was very grumpy because she made him go out to a place where there was a crowd, and she made him dress up. But within a few minutes, we had him laughing and having a good time. And as you can see, he was quite happy in the picture. So if you're looking for somewhere to donate money this Christmas season, the Northwest Montana Veterans Food Pantry is a good place.
He's basically the Santa Claus for old crusty Montana vets. So help fill.
He totally is. You know what's really neat is we got there at the event, and I get him in and I get him sat down because he doesn't get around real well. But the local state representative came right over to sort of kiss the ring and pay honor to Al the minute Al got there. And I thought that was kind of neat to see that here's this nice little old man who just runs around tinkering at his camp all the time. And yet all the political movers and shakers in Montana want to go and shake his hand. So pretty neat guy.
That's awesome. That's it's very cool that he at least he gets recognized in the community. That's kind of the key thing there. I think is pretty cool.
Absolutely, I call him the mayor because he knows literally everybody, and everybody knows him. So.
Well, it can't hurt the camp, and it can't hurt you being best buddies with the mayor.
That's right. That's right. Allison calls them our adopted grandparents because they're just good people.
Watcher, how you doing?
Woke up this morning not feeling like I was dipped in salsa and tied to the back of a track hog. So great. Excellent. Happy and very grateful for all the viewers who reached out and wished me a get well soon. There were a surprising number of you, and I very much appreciate it, you guys.
Well, I'm glad you're feeling better. You weren't able to make the show yesterday, and that made I had to do all the work. That's fine. I don't mind. It's good that I
thank you, Scott. Thank you, Scott, for filling in for me. I definitely needed the rest. I spent most of the last 2 days asleep, and when not asleep, vomiting and or on the.
I'm going to call bullshit that this show is actually work for you, considering that. When you quit the show, you have to then go work cattle on a cattle ranch. So,
well, that's the other thing.
I get the feeling that you milk this. I gotta sit here for 2 hours.
No,
and,
actually, to be very honest, I felt awful because while I was sick was like the most needed time for me. They brought on new cows, and like everybody was super freaking time crunched. Ended up working till way after dark because I wasn't there.
Wait. We got a wandering Blaine Pardo popping in. Hey, Blaine, how are you doing this morning?
Good. I just got back from flying my drone.
Oh yeah.
How was New Jersey?
Crash it last night?
Did you crash it? Yeah, apparently one crashed last night.
Really? I didn't know that. That's awesome.
I get the feeling that we don't know everything yet about all these drones, but we're going to know about as much as you can by the time we get through our segment, because there's been a lot of interesting data points, and we'll be definitely talking about that.
Since I've got you here, though, I want to say something. I'm a couple chapters in on tenure, and man, first of all, it's gripping. It pulls you right in, and two, it really it has the smack of truth to it. Right? You can totally see this event happening to a professor, 100%. So,
thanks.
Great work.
Wait till he starts killing everyone. It's awesome.
I'm trying to get there.
Blaine, this popped up on my timeline just as you pop in, so I might as well share this because this is just gratuitous fun. Evidently, these are some renders.
Yeah.
Very cool. Some of these look very familiar.
Yeah, we've been having a good time.
That looks good.
Rattlesnake.
Yeah.
Rhino.
And this one is?
You know that one.
I know.
Honey badger.
Yeah. This one is the one that our artist Doug designed for the comic. So he is diligently working away at the art. We're hoping to have the final pages colored and art done and colored by the beginning of the year, and then I'm going to send what I've got off right now off to lettering. Actually, not this weekend, probably next week before I travel.
There's a memo I was supposed to send you on that. You can't call them colored pages anymore. You have to call them pages of color.
Pages of color. But Joe, because Donald Trump won, we can throw out all of the nonsense.
So we're back to colored pages. Okay,
that's right. The dim colored pages. All right. Said it in the appropriate accent.
Oh, you just revealed that you are definitely from Kentucky.
I'm from Tennessee originally. Waverly, Tennessee. Let me tell you.
Right. There's even a sign there that says birthplace of Scott McCullough.
That's right. No, actually, birthplace of Scott McCullough is Frankfurt, West Germany, but I don't think there's a sign for me there.
Yet.
All right. Let's we have officially have a quorum now that Blaine is here. Let's jump right into it, gentlemen. First thing here is I thought this was interesting. We're gonna touch around some Middle Eastern stuff in the odds and ends here. So we'll start with hostage deal close again after Hamas concedes on Israeli troops in Gaza. This is basically Hamas saying, yes, we're beat, and we know there's nothing we can do to get you out of Gaza afterwards. That's how I read this. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan, our favorite and your favorite, is currently on his 7th trip. Come on, spelling here. Trip to Israel with just weeks left of the Biden administration. The lame duck U.S. administration is still trying to inject something positive into the news cycle. I don't believe that. I honestly believe that everything that the administration is doing at this point are to do things to make Trump's life harder when he takes over. Everything, to include the NDAA, which was just passed. That's a lot of trops. Yep. I have originally thought of like caltrops when I read that the first time I was listening.
Well, listen. Some people say we've got bad sources. We've got the best sources. Our sources have the best spelling.
The best spelling. The lame duck Benjamin Netanyahu is ready to do a deal, claimed Sullivan in a Tel Aviv press conference. He was asked about longtime allegations that Netanyahu was actually stalling and thwarting a potential deal. Yeah, that would, it would be like Netanyahu to say, no deal. And then Trump shows up. He says, okay, sure, I'll make a deal. And then, gives Trump the, Trump came in and made a great deal. And that's how we have it. Let's see here. When I got to Doha and Cairo, this is Jake Sullivan speaking, my goal was to put us in a position to be able to close the deal this month. I wouldn't be here today if I thought this was just a waiting until after January 20th. Hezbollah can never again rebuild its terror infrastructure to threaten Israel, said Sullivan. Now that Assad's regime is gone, the balance of power in the Middle East has changed significantly. Israel is stronger. Iran is weaker. And so Hamas has yielded to 2 of Israel's key demands for a ceasefire deal in Gaza. Arab mediators said, raising hopes of an agreement that could release some hostages within days, despite the previous negotiations. The militant group told mediators for the first time that it would agree to a deal that would allow Israeli forces to remain in Gaza temporarily when the fighting starts. Yeah, temporarily. 10 years later, they're still there. Hamas also handed over a list of hostages, including U.S. citizens, who it would release under a ceasefire pact, something it hasn't done since the first truce in the conflict last year. The new plan proposed by Cairo and backed by the U.S. seeks to build on momentum generated by the ceasefire in Lebanon, secured in November, which was broadly held despite both Israel and Hezbollah accusing each other of violations. No, that's Hezbollah violating and Israel responding to their violations. Robustly, I should say. Joe, thoughts on this? I think this is just signs of Hamas's capitulation, ultimately.
I think it's a sign of Hamas trying to stay alive. I don't think they're capitulating. Here's the problem, though. When you grant things to hostage takers, what then happens?
You get more hostages.
You've emboldened that activity. And for all of you, but they're just freedom fighters, people. If they were such freedom fighters, they wouldn't have taken hostages and used them as a crutch. They would have fought it out militarily and just dealt with it. So we shall see.
Hey, hold on a second. Trump. Watcher, if you'll just notice, I'm making a change to the odds and ends. Can you just reorder everything the way I just made the change? I'm sorry, guys. I did that like midstream. Blaine, what's your take on this? Yeah. Do you think where do you think this is coming from? You think Hamas is basically kind of tapping out for now, or do you think this is just a kind of a delay?
I think this is the direct result of Donald Trump saying that the hostages need to be released or they'll be hell to pay. And, it's very similar to Reagan when he came into office during the Iranian hostage crisis. It was this last minute, we're going to release them while Reagan is being sworn in, because they knew what that Reagan was going to use brutal and blunt force to get those hostages freed. Or, we'd lose those hostages if that's what it took. That's what this was all about. They didn't move on this at all until Donald Trump came out and said, there's going to be hell to pay. And now suddenly they want to negotiate. So, first of all, Jake Sullivan has told us numerous times we're this close to a deal. So first of all, don't give this any credibility right now.
Yeah, right.
Until a deal's actually in place and you see hostages coming home, this is all bullshit. And
It's,
that's
yeah, it's all
it ever
just talking
was.
points to control a
Right.
news cycle. Yeah.
You know, I don't think this has anything to do with Biden's legacy. I don't think he's trying to undermine Trump. I think Hamas is scared shitless because I think Americans are not going to be comfortable with Americans being held hostage for whatever reason. Doesn't matter what the background is. Doesn't matter where you fall on the Palestinian issue. Trump is going to take action. So yeah, they're going to surrender them, and they're going to surrender those hostages at some point before January 20th, because otherwise Trump is going to go, open a can of whoop ass on them.
Yeah. Well, Derna for $10 says, "How about this? You give us all the hostages back right now, or we will go in, take you to Gitmo, and play Black Eyed Peas until you beg for death and
Or
pray for
Nickelback.
life."
Or Nickelback. You could go that
Nickelback
way.
would work.
Okay.
too,
Okay.
yeah.
So first of all, I was already drawing the line at maligning Black Eyed Peas, but now you have to throw Nickelback in there too. Man.
Well,
Eminem.
you could
Can we
do-
just go with Eminem?
You could play the Jam over and over like they did in Walking Dead.
I think we should make them listen to that moron. What's her name? Cardi B. They should have to listen to Cardi B nonstop. That will make anyone change their mind.
I got the real torture. I've been teaching myself to play banjo. They have to listen to me 24 hours a day, learning to play banjo.
Well, both of you, careful. Careful about being on air and advocating war crimes. I'm just saying.
Right.
I'm going to make them listen to Korean folk music with that twang, 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 twang. Oh my god, that's the worst. Joe, you know what I'm talking about too.
I do know what you're talking about.
Well, it sounds like those people dodged a bullet not having you guys be in charge of their punishment. And speaking of dodging,
you know what is cool though about Korean folk music is some of the Korean drum stuff. So they do have some cool drum stuff.
Moving on to our they do. Russia dodged a bullet by wisely choosing not to ally with the now defeated resistance Axis. So this is interesting, right? And he's gonna. We'll talk more about this, but the idea is that Russia kind of saw the writing on the wall, and that's why they didn't really step in very, vigorously to help Assad. And there's a lot of potential reasons for that, but I just think that's interesting. Of all, like, when you compare Iran and Russia, those are the two backers of the Syrian government. I think Russia came out way better out of this whole thing than Iran did. Iran literally lost its best buddy in the region, right? And it's the platform for which it did almost all of its activities into both, throughout the western part of the Middle East. Yeah, with the Levant, right. And the interesting thing is we still don't know for sure if Russia is going to have to leave its bases behind. It's actually up in the air as to whether they might be able to keep their new bases under this new regime, which would be an interesting development. And I think part of that is because they might have kind of not fully committed to Assad. All right, so this is a Substack article from Andrew Korbia. I always say his name wrong. Karibko. Putin made the right choice and was always driven by his rational calculation of what was in Russia's objective interest as a state, not due to Zionist influence, like some of the alt media community now ridiculously claim to defame him after being mad that he didn't lift a finger to save the resistance. The Iranian-led resistance axis has been defeated by Israel. Hamas's terrorist attack on 7 October prompted Israel's collective punishment of the Palestinians. And I'll be honest with you, Joe. I know you're the one that probably looks at this as much, if not more, than I do. I Iran's in tough. It's in a tough position here. They're not completely defeated, but Hamas is defeated. Hezbollah is defeated. The Yemens are just kind of out there doing their own thing, causing trouble, but ultimately, yeah, they're not directly able to affect the fight in this area. And now Syria has fallen. I mean, that's pretty much all of Iran's key allies in the region are essentially cut off at the knees.
Where are you getting the information that Hezbollah has been defeated? They might have had a tactical loss in Syria, but Hezbollah is every bit as in control as they were in the West Bank as before.
I would say they are defeated but not destroyed. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I would say that about Hamas, but I would not say that about Hezbollah.
All right, that's fair. That's fair. I was thinking just of the southern Lebanon fight, and just what happened with their kind of key leadership losses.
Have they announced a new leader yet that hasn't got taken out within 24 hours?
Well, no, that new guy is there, and he's rather conciliatory for Hezbollah.
Have they announced a new cell phone provider? I'm asking for a friend.
Right. Yeah, it's called Kaboom Cellular. They have great deals, smoking hot deals, they say. So.
Let's see. All right, let me kind of go through this article real quick. Israel has also bombed Yemen and Iran. Hamas and Hezbollah's leaderships were destroyed, leading to a ceasefire in Lebanon. And while Assad government was just overthrown by Turkish-backed terrorist blitz that severed Iran's military logistics to Hezbollah, these outcomes are already surprising enough for those who believe that Nasrallah's claim that Israel is weaker than a spider's web. But many were shocked that they occurred without Russia lifting a finger to save the resistance, with whom they thought they had allied against Israel long ago. This kind of gets to the point that being in the area, just being in the area is what Russia wants, not necessarily being friends with particular people. That port is very important to Russia. Blaine,
especially with their Ukraine war effort, it enables them to have assets on both sides of the strait.
Yeah, they're going to keep the port because they'll offer humanitarian aid and money and stuff to help the new regime,
military equipment.
Yeah, I think the thing that always concerns me about what happened in Syria was Turkey, and I know that sounds kind of stupid, but this gives Erdogan a lot of clout, and he's batshit crazy. So I'm not real comfortable with him having more clout in the region.
I haven't decided if I think that Turkey is a winner or a loser in this. No, for the obvious reasons, you could consider them a winner, right? Like they back the side that won. They will have the opportunity to have influence there. But at the same time, they also stabbed the Russians in the back by doing so, right? They essentially potentially pulled the rug out.
They're contractually obligated to do so through NATO, by the way.
Shocking, right, Joe? That they would actually. But here's the thing: NATO uses Al Qaeda to take over Middle Eastern country. Somehow, I think that goes against NATO values somehow. I just
NATO has values. Whoa! Let's peel that onion a little bit.
they have
values. They're just not the ones you and I have.
Exactly.
What are their? Let's try this. Name two.
Impenetrable bureaucracy. That's a value, right?
That's a value?
No, that's a virtue, not a value.
Yeah, see, it's harder than you think.
Yeah, that's true. Let's see. I can tell you what NATO's purpose is. Anyway, Joe, what's your thought on winners and losers coming out of this? I mean, Russia, it's kind of still up in the air. You think Turkey's ultimately going to be a winner or a loser on this one?
In the long run, a loser, but Erdogan's a turd, so I'm not opposed to that.
Yeah, so, I'll be honest with you. I think Erdogan is his own worst enemy.
Do you remember the old movie New Jack City, when the mob guys were talking about Nino Brown. You lay down with Peruvian dogs, you wake up with Spanish fleas. That's what's going to happen here, right? You're siding with all the bad guys. It will eventually come back to bite you.
Let's see. The other thing that I think is interesting is that I think that in the end, this will give Turkey a bad name with Israel because they have basically gotten rid of one bad guy and put a worse bad guy along Israel's borders. And I think this is ultimately going to be a lot of trouble for Israel. Israel hasn't had to worry about the whole ISIS and Al Qaeda brand of Sunni Islamist kind of. They've had their Palestinians and they've had some Shia problems with the with the alliance of Iran through Hezbollah, but ultimately, Al Qaeda really never targeted Israel directly the way some of these other Iran-backed ones did. Now they've got essentially Al Qaeda right on their border. We all know that Al Qaeda just had so many enemies; they just never had an opportunity to focus on Israel. So it wasn't for a lack of actually appreciating Israel. So that's another threat that's been delivered to their doorstep.
I don't think so, because first thing they did was grab land and knock out their air defenses. There's a part of me that thinks Israel may have been helping this along because they removed a long-time threat. It's going to be a long time before Syria stabilizes. We're all acting like, oh, the revolution's over, everything's done, and we know the government there. They don't know what they're doing. The people are just wandering the streets at this point, and nobody's 100% in charge. And it's going to be that way for a while. And when I say for a while, I'm talking years. It's going to be a long time before Syria is again a manageable threat or a credible threat to Israel. So there's a part of me that wonders how much Mossad was in there kind of pushing this along, going, yeah, throw him out. Because they've destabilized one of their longtime foes without firing a shot up until the fall took place.
And I'll point out too that everyone wants to talk about HTS being in control of Syria. They're in control of part of Syria. They don't even control the majority of it. There are still warring factions out there. The Syrian civil war did not end with Assad's ouster.
Yep.
So.
By the way, Laura, I did not get a chance to see the video you sent me last night. I saw it, and I just wasn't able. I was at work when you sent it, and I just haven't had the chance to look at it yet. I'm sorry. I apologize.
In all honesty, it's a very good video, but there's really not much new info in there, just coming from someone else.
Yeah, there's some weird stuff happened with October 7th, and it'll be a while before we get all the tea drops on that. But all right, let's. There was something else I wanted to talk about this. Where was it? I'm sorry. It was something in this the point that I wanted to bring up.
You have a thing called show notes for that.
I know. I'm looking in this article. There was because I read all these articles about 6-7 hours ago. So I'm trying to remember where the point was.
Hopefully they didn't edit it out.
Well, I'll just finish here, right? In retro, so this is kind of like the kind of summation of this article here. In retrospect, Russia dodged a bullet by wisely choosing not to ally itself with a now defeated resistant Axis, since it would have needlessly ruined its relations with Israel, the indisputable victor in the West Asian Wars. Yeah, the West Asian Wars are not done. Joe, what do you think the odds that we see a strike on Israel by Iran prior to January 20th?
About 100%.
I totally agree. And I wouldn't be surprised if it didn't happen here in the next week or so.
Yeah.
Blaine, thoughts on that? You're muted.
I'm with Joe. I think it's a week or so.
Yeah, I think they'll try to hit with the ballistic missiles again, and probably some coordination with like ground remnants. I guess the final word that I'll say about this region. Actually, let me get the super chat real quick, and then I'll say. Lance Corporal veteran for $5. Syria reminds me of a Mexican Revolution. 20 years of killing of rivals killing each other off. Yeah, I think it's going to turn into a fucking bloodbath before it's all said and done. Of them, basically people who are now victors all killing each other. We've seen a mix of weird moderates and absolute jihadists, Islamist jihadists. So we'll see who comes out on top. The regular people won't have a whole lot of patience for Islamist government. We saw that with ISIS. They may be cowed for a little bit, but I think the Syrian people are just about sick of authoritarian people telling them how to live.
Here's the thing about Islamic governments. They're really not that concerned with public opinion.
Right. Well, no, that's right. But ultimately that was the downfall of ISIS, right? You know, they rule people through fear, and people who live in fear are looking for opportunities to either run or fight in the end. So the last thing that I was going to say is, Joe, a testament to this is the Druze villages along in southern Syria who have now petitioned Israel to be annexed into Israel to be ruled by Israel. I thought that was an interesting sign of the times. I don't know. What do you bet? You think Israel? I couldn't hear what you said. You broke up in my head. I'm sorry. I just couldn't hear what you said in my headset.
I said that's probably the least surprising part, actually, to me.
Yeah.
I was talking about the Druze issue for quite a while, and it just makes more sense to the Druze to be aligned with Israel than with literally anyone else in the area.
Well, the one thing that Syria was able to do, despite all the authoritarian craziness that was going on under Assad, is he kept a wide variety of people together and working in a functional or a quasi-functional state. It was pretty diverse. He had Christians, large Christian communities, Druze, Alawites, you name it, he had it in the middle. Zoroasters, I think, were in there as well. So all kinds of different folks. All right. Let us move on to our last odds and ends. Now, Joe, I know this is one of your favorite clips of the week. I want to give you full credit because I found this on your feed.
Assad left Syria broken, divided, traumatized, and largely reduced to rubble. It will take a generation or more to recover, for Syrians to recover.
All right, push pause real quick.
What?
Now, just to get a little preview on who this gal is. She is what does it say here? Director of Strategic Initiatives and National Security Fellow, Institute for the Study of War. This is the Atlantic Council, your favorite and mine, the basically one of the four horsemen of the apocalypse and the censorship wars of the American people. The Atlantic Council has 7 CIA directors on their board, 7 living former CIA directors on their board, and it's served as a Burisma's lobbyist. So you name it, they've been bad opinions in the last 10 years. They've been involved in it.
So she's willing to say this because she doesn't have to be at the FOBs and the bases along that line, right?
Yeah.
Here's the thing: these people have like no actual real life, real world experience. They're academics and they sit around all day talking about these lofty ideas because they don't have to try to figure out which leg goes with which body in the body bag at the end of the day. To them, it's all numbers on a sheet of paper. The rest of us have seen the what happens at the sharp end of the stick, right? It's real easy to advocate for war from your very comfortable hotel room that you've been living in for 4 years out in Switzerland, right?
Let's see what the big brain on Jennifer has to say about how to fix this whole situation.
What do they need? They need time. They need supportive conditions to allow them to do the very hard work of healing and rebuilding and ideally building a future Syria. So the drivers of ISIS recruitment, the drivers of potential renewed instability, be that Iran, be that Turkish expansionism, be that other, intercommunal violence that happens because of a traumatized population, the United States can help to keep at least some of these drivers at bay, to reduce some of the immediate sources of pressure that Syrians face that will be obstacles to them doing the hard work in their communities and at the national level. We can do that. That doesn't mean the United States needs to get involved in Syria or make this an American project. This is a Syrian project. But we are the United States of America. We are uniquely capable of ensuring that security conditions in eastern Syria do not deteriorate at a rate that would preclude the kind of rebuilding and healing that needs to happen. We are the United States of America. We can broker a deal between Turkey and the SDF. I do still believe that. I think Trump actually may be the guy that can pull that off. And while I know that
Joe, you know how much it hurts for her to say that. I hate to say it, but he might be the guy who could do this.
Oh, my favorite part of this is watching the NAFO people freak out about, what do you mean they're not going to kick the Russians out of their bases?
Middle East, and it's not our problem, and we don't want to get involved. I do think we should remember that it is the Obama-Biden policy that led to catastrophe in Syria, and Trump's policies actually included strikes on Assad for chemical weapons use. He cared what happened to the Syrian population. He didn't do enough, in my view, but he did a lot more than the Obama administration and the Biden administration.
This is a left-wing mole that is angling for a policy position either in the State Department under the Trump administration or in the DOD, like a policy desk.
Let me just say,
I hope she gets it because she's about to lose her job at the Atlantic Council.
Yeah.
Look at the looks on the faces of the people around her. Like they're like, what?
I just think she's going to pull her mask off, and it's Brian Kilmeade.
Listen, for all of you in the chat, you can fix her. No, you can't. You cannot fix her.
No.
Thank you, Joe.
Laura Cox has the correct take on this. I know how to fix her. It might not be legal, though. That's all I'll say.
Part of it is the lies she wove into her discussion. Oh, Syria's in rubble. I'm sorry, I've seen footage. Didn't look like a lot of rubble to me.
Yeah.
Damascus is a fully functional and operational city. There's nobody going, oh my God, we have a humanitarian crisis. People are starving because there's no food coming into the city. The infrastructure is still there, and it's still a functional.
They said the airport will be open by the end of the week.
Yeah,
Hold on there, Blade. Didn't you see that poor prisoner who was left for 4 days without food and water?
And he hid under a blanket?
Yeah, well, that's not my problem.
She also exhibits the classic liberal woman disease of those poor people are too stupid to do anything themselves. We have to go and do it for them, right?
Oh.
We have to,
and we're uniquely qualified to do it, by the way, because we have such a track record of stunning successes all around the globe where we've intervened and everything has worked out in our favor.
Maybe they could offer them Obamacare. That'll probably solve everything.
I feel like she just read Francis Fukuyama's The End of History last week, and then also realized that Trump just got elected, and so she's trying to straddle the neocon kind of Bible with the new administration and figure out how do I work my way into or do I need to break out my knee pads?
Her first thing was she took off her pantsuit and switched it up, okay? Because she realized the era of the pantsuit is over.
Their pantsuit champion has fallen.
You'll notice that all the base policy babes all have miniskirts on. I'm just saying.
My favorite is this guy doing the up left I'm not here face.
The one that to her right, directly to her right.
negotiate a ceasefire between Turkey and the SDF. President Trump has influence here. He doesn't need to commit the United States to getting involved. He just has to recognize that there is a huge sucking sound in the Middle East right now that is the dreams of Iran and Russia. And the region is once more looking to the United States. He doesn't have to do much. He can tweet a few things. He can approve a few policies. We should.
Pause. I've heard. There's heresy in the chat. Mexican Iron Man, brother. I love you. You know, like a brother. But man, CFC panel is not correct. His member chat. Member for 22 months. Thank you very much for being a member. CFC panel is not correct. For low indeed, Mexican Iron Man, armed with his South Carolina jalapeno, can fix her. Just need one weekend in Hilton Head. LOL.
Talk about taking one for the team.
I mean, let's be
honest. That's the smallest jalapeno I've ever seen, and that's a weird color.
Yeah.
Like, is that a ghost pepper? Because I can't see it.
Also, I gotta say, Derna, top marks.
Now, since we have reduced this poor lady and her intellect down to just her physical appearance, let's just say she looks like she's 16 years old. So no, thank you.
Sanctions were meant to keep Assad from stealing the money. He's not there to steal the money. There's all kinds of weedy things we can do to make sure that it's still safe and responsible, et cetera. But this is not a Americanization of the next stage in Syria. This is a recognition that this is a country devastated by 13 plus years of war. There are some key decisions that we can make to give Syrians the best possible chance to rebuild and to leave behind us in Syria, if and when we do withdraw, a future that is much better than, for example, the future we left behind us when we withdrew from Afghanistan. This is a win. And it's my sincere hope that the incoming Trump administration takes it.
First of all, it wasn't 13 years of war. It was 13 years of civil war. That's very different. These people are used to fighting each other, and it's now probably crossed a generation. And you are not going to go in there and go, hey, everybody chill. Yeah. We're gonna stabilize your bank, and that'll make everything better. These people it's just going to be looting and chaos. And you know what? That's the best that Syria should hope for. And that, honestly, it's the best for the whole world. Let them be in chaos. Let them fight.
Look at the body language of the men on the council with her. No, that is men barely tolerating woman-splaining, which is 10 times worse than mansplaining.
No. My favorite part of this is that they have to tolerate it because they invited her on as their token female to meet their diversity guidelines. And I guarantee you that's why she's there.
Well, look at how diverse the group is that's on the stage.
But there are some brown and gray-haired men, so I'm just saying.
Yes. Hold on, guys. You're missing the diversity here. You're missing the diversity. Stanford, Brown, Yale.
Now, I think of this as the Thanksgiving table. The adults are sitting on the left, and starting with her, the kids are at the kids' table on the right.
Mexican Iron Man, I just want to let you know that you still have not taken up our offer to just come on a random morning show sometime. So,
facts.
Remember that offer is still good, and I'm sure you got some time in and around the holidays. You can pop in and help Joe and watch her one of the days when I'm not able. By the way, next week I should be on for all shows next week. The thing that I had is no longer happening, so just FYI.
You should come on sometime in the dead of winter just to annoy me with how much nicer it is in South Carolina than it is in Montana.
Penis Chase Helicopter Tours for $2 says, "Why is Daisy Ridley? Why is Ray on stage lecturing about Syria?" Because she's the bestest ever of this panel. All right, she's the Mary Sue of the foreign policy world. That's all I want to talk about Syria today, guys. That's pretty much all. I'm all Syria'd out. Squishy Hunter for $2 over on Rumble says, all squishy units, we are Oscar Mike once more. 2 hours to Bucky's. Praise to the council. Happy birthday to me. State patrols be damned. Let's go hunt bear. Yeah, I'm with you on the birthdays. I also had a birthday earlier this week, so
Really?
Was it earlier this week? Yes, it was earlier this week.
Oh, happy birthday, Scott! I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I don't ever like to tell anybody ahead of time. I like to
Well,
kind of just tell
that-
people
that's-
afterwards. So it makes
I-
people feel like shit.
Well,
Squishy,
no,
I'm gonna need you to overnight me a 3-meat sandwich from Buc-ee's. Okay.
add some beaver nuggets to that order for me. But
Oh yeah, and beaver nuggets are good.
Scott, I think that I think that you undersell that just a little bit. I think the military trained you into knowing that you never ever reveal it's your birthday until afterwards, because people can't give you birthday beatings that way.
That's true. This is true. Though at my advanced age, that tends to not be as much of a problem. I think they feel bad for the old guy. Yeah, I told somebody the other day. They said, "Hey, sir, when did you first join the army?" And I told her it's 94. And she goes, "Huh? I was born in 97." I was like,
You
Nice.
should have just said, have you ever heard of Generals Lee, General Grant? I was there.
Pike's. Yeah, yeah, exactly right. Generally, the high water mark on Cemetery Ridge. That was my first
Yeah.
battle position. All right. Let's jump. Actually, you know what? Let's do a little shameless promotional work. Joe, you're up. TacticalWisdom.com. What's going on over there?
Oh boy, what's going on over there is we're getting caught up from the time on the road we had earlier in the fall. I've put out a training calendar for the first half of the year, and I've talked about a few other classes that are going to go up. And some of the guys I told them about are they really are interested, like doing some field training exercises where we get out and spend the weekend living in the field, going over a real world problem and trying to resolve it. But a lot of cool stuff on there on the calendar. I got stick and knife combatives coming up next month. And then in February, Matt and I have our whole slew of classes in a row down in Providence, North Carolina, where we're going to do a fieldcraft class of mine, followed by Scout and Recce of NC Scouts, and then fighting Kalashnikov. And if you're at that fighting Kalashnikov, you get the 1-2 punch of the two real AK guys. We might not be as famous as Brandon Herrera, but we probably know a thing or two about fighting with the Kalashnikov. So good spring schedule coming up. And then our next big week after that one will be in May, where Matt will be out here in Montana, and I'll be out here doing classes before and after. We got a whole lot of stuff going on. I think he's got 3 classes and I've got 2. So you can get a lot of training in that 3rd or 4th week in May, whatever it is on the schedule there. So good times. We have a lot going on. But, last thing. If you want to buy one of these shirts, or you want to buy signed books or patches before Christmas, today is the last day that I can guarantee you get it before Christmas.
Very good. Make sure you get in on it. You're not going to want to miss. Those are great gifts. I can attest to this. I've been given Tactical Wisdom gear gifts at different times, and it's been very appreciated. Blaine, you got a lot of stuff. You got a lot of irons in the fire. Which one would you like to talk about first?
I want to talk about tenure.
Oh man.
Yeah.
So this weekend I will have more reading to do. I wasn't able to do as much last weekend, but very interesting. And I would be pissed. Oh my God, Blaine, when you write of like the kind of the things that like generate the motivations for these characters, I swear to God, you piss me off, man. I mean, I was literally taken back to the scenes. I think it was the second Blue Dawn book, right, where you actually kind of tell like what happened, like right after the fall of the White House.
Oh yeah.
Right. I mean, I was reminded kind of that. Like, I'm just like, you just want to. Anyway, you've done it again. Tell them a little bit about tenure.
Tenure's just about a college professor who gets pushed too far. If you like movies like, Nobody, John Wick, any of that genre, Falling Down is
Mhm.
definitely a component of this. And Death Wish, it's that on steroids, and it's done respectfully, from a perspective of we try to keep it realistic. Mike and I are writing a car chase scene, and car chases are next to impossible right now in the city. So we had to have drones in the air and all sorts of stuff to be able to actually pull off a car chase, because the way they happen in the movies isn't there. And it's written, this series is written, to be very honest with you, much like an action movie. It plays out in short scenes, and the pacing is very crisp. It is short chapters, a lot of them, real biting stuff. But when you push somebody too hard, they will push back eventually.
Yeah, well, I mean,
You're here.
you'd think regular people would be like that, but somehow so many regular people just take it.
Oh yeah, well, we were like that during the whole loss of the election in 2020. There was a lot of talk about doing stuff, and yeah, there was one day where something happened, but
Mhm.
that was it. We had a large trespassing event, which we now know was partially staffed by the FBI. So yeah, there's a lot going on. My
Yeah,
favorite chapter, you get the chapter titles, I think, are fun because we wanted to have titles for each chapter. And the
Mhm.
Federal Bureau of Treason was one of my favorite ones.
Blaine, that kind of gets to some of the things that we're going to be kind of exploring in the next couple months, maybe the first 3 months of the Trump administration. There are some of the things that are going to come out as just, hey, this is wrongdoing. It's unethical. It may be, but there's going to be some out and out treason exposed in the near future. I truly believe that.
Well, I agree with you, and I guess this is, you know what? No, I will save what I'm trying to say till the end of the first segment. And with that, Scott, given what the first segment is today, are we making the roll to Rumble now?
Well, I'm inclined to just kind of keep it here. Well, no, you know what? Let's go to Rumble because we could be a little more spicy on there, and B, I want to push all these wonderful people who are over on. I want to put them all at once over to Rumble, and let's see if we can't get an algorithmic boost here. We've got what are we looking at here? On YouTube, we've got 77 folks, and we've got more than double that over on Rumble. So let's get the 77 folks that are here on YouTube. Let's get you guys to move over to Decamp YouTube and go over to Rumble. Link is in the chat. So if you would just hit the link there, and
please,
move
dear
on
viewer,
over.
remember to also hit the like button on your way in to the Rumble. That's a whole part of this. We need you.
Yeah. I haven't really put a whole lot into like shilling the channel so much here lately because I've just been so busy, and you guys, I mean, I'm not here to kind of grow things and get huge. I'm here to kind of hang out with my chat, right? You guys have decided that you like us. You're here for what we have to say, and we appreciate you for that. Actually, honestly, it's very humbling.
I feel like some of you should probably seek mental help because of it, but
well, yeah, some of you are a glutton for punishment because you like to just kind of poke us in the chat and you take all we have to dish back out at you. So I can appreciate that too, though. Yeah. So having said, hitting the likes helps out. So if you could do that before you shuttle off of YouTube and over onto Rumble, that would be helpful. All right, guys, let's just go around the horn real quick. Joe, for the YouTube people who will see this later and then not make the move over, what do you think's happening over the weekend?
First of all, let me just confirm. Yeah, I buy Mountain Partisan stuff. We bought the Mountain Partisan sling for the
nice.
new one of these. Anyway,
2 point sling, right? Yeah.
Their 2-point slings are fantastic. I've got 3 of them now. But anyway, I think that you're going to get some clarity on this mysterious drone issue. It's not a distraction. totally not a distraction from everything else going on in the world. You get some clarity on that, and I think you're also going to see some of the Daniel Penny protests pick up steam over the weekend. So.
Yeah, I think there is still some powder in that hasn't been burned. So I'm curious to see what happens. Joe, I do have a prediction though. If it doesn't happen, it's because it's these serious internal struggles going on within the American left right now. It's not because they don't want to get out there and let people know how angry they are. It's because there's practically a civil war going on behind the scenes in the American left. Blaine, what's your thoughts for the weekend?
I don't think we're going to see much in the way of protests. People don't like to go march when it's cold.
My friend, after my 2020 winter, I will disagree with you.
Well,
okay.
I just don't think it's going to be that big of a deal. Mostly because I think a lot of people look at it and go, "Yeah, the guy was crazy." And
what time of year was January 6th held?
Yeah, January 6th was a large scale trespassing event, and we all know that. Okay. I just don't think we're going to see a lot of it. This drone thing is more entertainment than anything. My post on this yesterday was if there were cute, lovable squirrels who were internet fans that were riding these drones, people would be shooting them down all over the place. The feds would.
I saw that.
Yeah, it's the
drone
thing.
We got to get the sad hams on the case. They'll solve it.
Yeah, no kidding. I just don't think there's a lot going on there. I think what you're going to see more of are more pardons coming out of Biden.
Yeah,
you're going to see more Biden level shenanigans, and it's not even him at this point. It's not like he sat down and reviewed 1,500 cases. They put a stack of paper in front of him and he rubber stamped them. So you're going to see more pardons. You're going to see more behind the scenes executive action, and there's going to be a big push to move more stuff to Ukraine.
Yes, I can say yes. There is,
yeah.
Hey, Watcher.
Yeah. Oh, when you said, "Hey, Watcher," I thought you were going to have a question.
No. I'm sorry.
Yeah. If you want to look out for what to look out for, in my opinion, I'd like to piggyback off something Joe said, and that is that there is seemingly a civil war happening in the leftist party. And what interestingly happened, in my opinion, was the last couple of weeks before the election, the semi-right thinking leftists tried to take the party back from the crazies, and now have been entirely pushed aside by the pro-assassination crazies, which are a whole new wing of the party. There's already been copycat attacks, threatened copycat attacks on insurance workers, and I think that's going to blow up. I think that they have now given them a focal point, and they've given them a recipe. And there's a lot of leftists who don't have a brain inside their heads, but do have the ability to follow along with that recipe. And you're going to see that play out.
There was actually a woman arrested for it yesterday.
Correct. Yeah. And I would be well on the lookout for that. And my favorite part of this entire thing is, how's that Obamacare and forcing everyone to sign up for an insurance plan working out? Did that go real well the way you expected? Weird. So prepare for people dealing with the consequences of their own actions and not seeing it that way.
Yeah, I think Watcher's actually onto something there. I think we're going to see a lot more copycats, mostly because the left embraced it. They came right out and said, "Oh yeah, these you listen to Elizabeth Warren. You can push people too far, and then they're going to take things into their own hands." Oh, you can say that about January 6th, but we certainly have seen a lot of that lately with the media and online. They're showing their true colors.
Yes.
Here's what I think. This weekend, I think the most likely big thing to happen. I mean, I think you're right, Blaine. I think we might see some pardon action from we'll see some other kind of tomfoolery from the administration. But I think the most likelihood for a big event this weekend is an Iranian attack on Israeli interests. Now, it may not be on Israel directly, but it would be on Israeli interests. So that's the one that I would put my finger on. And there's a lot of different ways that could play out. But Iran has got to basically say, listen, we're not defeated. You smacked us around from the air. You destroyed our friends, the Syrians. You've crippled Hezbollah and you've pummeled Hamas, but we're still here. And maybe it comes via Yemen. I don't know. So we'll see. That's where I think it is. All right, Watcher. Let's head on over to Rumble. Take us away, please.
2, 0, 1.
It's 11:59 at Radio Free America. This is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I've got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone.
3, 6, 4, 6.
The chair is against the wall.
3, 6.
The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache.
8, 2, 5.
John has a long mustache.
8, 2, 5, 0, 9.
It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.